I'm sure that you have all heard of the story of Little Red Riding Hood, but I bet you haven't heard our version though. Little Red Riding Hood was very close to her grandma. She loved her very much. In fact, it was her grandma who spent all summer making her that bright red hooded cloak.
Wait a minute! Wait a minute!
Oh, it's simply the best.
Now be careful, my dear. Maybe taken up a little bit.
Nonsense, Grandma. It's perfect already. I'll wear it straight away.
You want me to take it up just a little, my dear?
No, I want to wear it now. Don't you think I look so grown up in it?
It looks splendid, but you don't need to be in such a hurry to grow up. You've got years to do that.
Grandma was right, but Little Red Riding Hood was very impatient. She wanted to act like a grown-up already. In fact, this is where our story really begins.
Oi! Is it my bit yet?
No, not yet. You meant to be backstage.
But it's so boring back there. Can't we just fast forward to my bit? I am the big bad wolf.
Not yet. We need to do the basket of food bit first.
Oh, really? It's just a basket of buns. Nothing important.
Is the reason Little Red Riding Hood sets off through the wood. Now, disappear backstage. I'll tell you when it's your turn.
Boring!
One morning, Little Red Riding Hood was in the kitchen whilst her mother was preparing a basket of food.
I do hate it when Grandma is ill.
I'm sure she'll be right as rain soon. She just needs some rest. Why don't we go and take her a basket of food? What do you think?
Oh, I think that's a fabulous idea, but I want to take it by myself. Please, can I? I'm old enough now.
I don't know. It's a long walk through the forest. I don't want you getting lost.
It's not that long. I'll be good. I won't talk to anyone. I'll stay on the footpath. Pretty please.
Very well then, but don't talk to strangers and stay on the footpath, my dear.
The forest was deep and the trees were tall. The wind could be heard whistling in the branches, waving the leaves from side to side.
Whoosh, whoosh.
The footpath was long and muddy in places, and the broken branches and leaves crunched under her feet.
Crunch, crunch.
But Little Red Riding Hood was in her element. She was happy to be let out by herself. She felt so grown up. She skipped along the path. It was a glorious, happy day.
I am the big bad wolf and...
Just at that moment, Little Red Riding Hood was stopped by an owl who was perched on one of the branches above in the trees.
Hello, Owl.
My goodness, what are you doing walking out all by yourself?
I'm off to see my grandma. She is sick.
All by yourself?
Of course. I'm quite grown up now. I don't need a grown up anymore.
Don't need a grown-up? My goodness gracious me. Haven't you heard of the dangers of the wood?
What danger?
Well, for a start, there is a sneaky, hungry wolf out, lurking in the forest.
I'm not afraid of a wolf.
Not afraid? Good gracious me. You are a brave girl indeed.
I've walked through the forest lots of times. It's quite safe.
And what have you got there?
It's a basket of food. It's to cheer Grandma up.
What a lucky grandma she is. Well, I must let you go. Don't stay out too late and be aware of the wolf. I've heard he's extremely hungry.
And so Al was off, sweeping through the trees. Al was right, though. There was a nasty wolf out and about, and he was very
Hungry indeed. Too soon? Quietly.
Little Red Riding Hood continued skipping along the path toward her grandma's house. Her grandma lived inside the forest in a small cottage. It had a little chimney which puffed out smoke from her little open fire, which kept Grandma warm. Sometimes, when Little Red Riding Hood was there, Grandma would let her cook marshmallows over fire.
Here, what have we got here?
I am Little Red Riding Hood.
Fox was a brave and clever creature who knew the forest well. He was even quite famous and had featured in his very own book, where he'd managed to fool 3 nasty farmers.
I know who you are, little girl, but what are you doing here all alone?
Less of the little, thank you very much. I'm big enough to be walking out by myself.
The forest can be a pretty scary place. There's plenty of stories I could tell.
I'm not scared at all. I can't look after myself.
Haven't you heard about the wolf? I've heard he's about and roaming the woods.
I won't be fooled.
He's a very cunning, nasty wolf, especially when he's hungry.
I won't be his dinner, just you see.
But the fox wasn't so sure.
Only last week I heard old Mavis the rabbit saying the same thing. Now she's in his belly.
My mother taught me not to speak to strangers.
Wise words, and listen to her too.
Just then, the owl swooped down.
Hello, Fox. Hello, Little Red Riding Hood. Have you heard the news? There is a hungry wolf about.
I was just warning the girl to be careful and not to talk to strangers.
Would you like us to walk with you to make sure you arrive at your grandma safely?
It's perfectly fine, but thank you for your kind offer. But I'm grown up now.
Really? It wouldn't be any trouble. We're both friends of your grandmother's. She's always leaving food out for us to eat.
But Little Red Riding Hood was a very stubborn girl and politely declined. So off they went. Off they went, skipping away with not a care in the world, until she almost stepped on.
Hey, watch it! You nearly stepped on me.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
Clearly, you almost flattened me as flat as a pancake. I could have been a goner, dead, flat. Rest in peace.
Oh, I did say that I was sorry.
And you think that's enough?
But you were crawling across the footpath.
Oh, so it's my fault now, is it? Is it?
I didn't mean...
To be rude? Ugh, this isn't your forest, you know. That's the trouble with you human beings. You think you own everything.
I didn't mean to...
What are you doing walking all by yourself anyway? Haven't you heard about that wolf?
He's not scared.
Not at all.
I'm grown up now. I don't need any help, thank you.
I've heard he's dreadfully nasty.
Cunning and sly.
He fooled poor Mavis. And there was that little mouse too.
I won't be fooled.
I've heard he's got big pointy ears and a giant bushy tail.
And sharp teeth. And long claws too.
I'm not scared.
Are you sure you don't want us to walk with you?
I don't need you to. I'm big and brave enough by myself, but thank you for the offer.
The three animals looked at one another. They were worried about the little girl and wanted to help.
I'll be fine.
And so they were off. Little Red Riding Hood skipped away. Little Red Riding Hood went further into the forest, proudly by herself. Suddenly, she slowed down as she came across something in the way of the footpath ahead.
Oh, it's my entrance! It's my part! Boo-hoo! Boo-hoo!
Why? What's wrong?
It's okay, little girl. I'll be fine.
But you're crying. Whatever is wrong?
Nobody likes me
Why?
because I'm the wolf.
The wolf?
Everyone is scared of me.
I'm not scared of you.
The wolf gathered to his feet. He was a lot bigger than what Fox had said. His teeth looked sharper than Owl had warned, and his nose was long and pointy.
You're not scared of me?
No.
I'm just little misunderstood. That's all. I just want a friend. That's all.
Wolf said sneakily with a cunning grin.
Will you be my friend?
I suppose I could be. After all, you don't seem to be scary at all. Plus, you haven't tried to eat me.
Eat you? Well, why would they want to do that?
Aren't you hungry?
Yes, but I'm only hungry for those cakes and buns in that basket you have.
But you can only have one. The rest are for Grandma. She's not well, you see. I'm just off to cheer her up.
Not well? Oh, how awful that is. I bet she's feeling weak too and wouldn't put up the fight. Feeling weak and vulnerable.
Exactly.
Well, I best let you get off along your way. Your mother must be right behind you. Have you skipped ahead of her?
No, I am by myself.
By yourself? How delightful! How brave you are!
I am brave.
And I simply love your cloak too. But it is not an ordinary cloak, is it? An M&S cloak?
It is. Thank you. You're not nasty at all. In fact, you're very kind.
Thank you, Little Red Riding Hood. Tell me, where does your grandma live? Is it far?
Not too far, just the other side of the small river, in the small opening.
Then I must let you go. Now, be safe and don't talk to any strangers. Blah! What a ghastly, disgusting cake. And what a silly girl, too. I'm off to Grandma's house as fast as you can say. Dinner time!
Old Little Red Riding Hood. If only she'd listened to her mother and her friends and not trusted the wolf. The wolf scampered to Grandma's house indeed. The door was locked, but Wolfie cried,
Grandma! Grandma! Let me in!
Knock, knock, knock.
Who's that there knocking so loud?
Using his best girly voice, the wolf replied,
It is I, Little Red Riding Hood. Let me in.
and despite the wolf's appalling acting, poor old Grandma was fooled, and as soon as she unlocked the door, the wolf burst in.
Surprise!
Oh gosh! Oh no!
Before she could mutter another word, Wolf swallowed her whole.
Well, I was hungry after all.
Knowing that Little Red Riding Hood wasn't far behind, he quickly dressed up as Grandma and got into her bed.
I'm normally not so greedy, but with a second helping on its way, who am I to refuse?
Meanwhile, Little Red Riding Hood was happily skipping along towards the river when she was stopped by another friend.
Badger?
Why, hello there, my friend. What brings you here?
I'm off to see my grandma. She's not well, so my mum has made a basket for food to cheer her up.
It smells delicious. But where is your mother, though?
She's at home. I'm all grown up now, you see.
Oh dear, you children are always so keen to grow up so quick. When you get to my age, you just want to be young again.
But it's boring being a child. I'd much rather be a grown up.
Rubbish! Boring being a child? What utter nonsense! It's great. I used to have so much fun as a young badger. I used to play cowboys, cops, robbers, and kiss chase.
Ooh. My grandma says that I'm grown up too fast too. So does my mother, but I like it.
I do hope she gets well soon.
So do I.
Be careful, my dear. There's a really nasty wolf about.
I know, but I've already met him.
You've already met him?
And he was frightfully kind to me. I do believe he just wants a friend.
He told you that?
But Badger wasn't convinced. He knew something was up.
He even said that he liked my new red cloak.
It's rather nice, I must say. But be careful. If that wolf tries to speak to you again, then promise me you will not stop and you'll run all the way home.
But he's my friend.
That wolf's no one's friend. Please tell me you didn't tell him where you were going.
Oh, of course I did.
Then let me come with you the rest of the journey, please.
Oh, I don't mean to be mean, but I'd rather go by myself. It's my first time going on my own, and I want to be a grown-up. I am bigger enough now, after all.
But Badger wasn't happy. He was even more worried about the wolf and that Little Red Riding Hood had told him about where she was going. He let her go and then raced off to find the others, as he knew that she was in trouble. You see, badgers have this powerful instinct. They can sense when something isn't quite right, and that wolf smelled very rotten indeed. So off Little Red Riding Hood went, across the river and towards a small clearing where her grandma lived. As she arrived, she came to the wooden door and knocked on 3 times, as she always did.
Knock, knock, knock.
Come in, come in.
Hello, Grandma. How good it is to see you.
Hello, my dear. How good it is to see you too.
How are you feeling?
Not too good, I'm afraid.
Your voice does sound rather husky indeed.
It's the cold, my dear. It's this terrible cold. Did you come by yourself?
I did it, Grandma. I did.
All by yourself? I can't believe it.
See, I told you. I'm all grown up now.
And you bought me some goodies, I see?
I have. Mother baked them especially.
Why, dear? Why don't you come a little closer?
Oh, Grandma, it smells rather rotten in here. Well, shall I open one of the windows?
Oh, no, 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 no. I'll catch a dreadful chill. I must stay warm.
Ah, you're right. I wouldn't want you to catch another chill.
Now, come a little closer, my dear. Let Grandma look at you.
Don't you want me to put these cakes away for you? Or I could warm them up if you wish.
No need for that. It is you I'm going to eat.
What did you say, Grandma?
Nothing, my dear. Just put them down by the bed. I'll be able to reach them there.
Oh, gosh, Grandma, what big eyes you've got.
All the better to see you with.
Isn't that strange?
Come a little closer, dear.
But Grandma, what big ears you've got.
All the better to hear you with.
That's very, very strange.
Now, come even closer still, my dear.
Grandma, what big teeth you've got.
All the better to eat you with.
Suddenly, Wolf jumped out the bed and chased poor little Red Riding Hood around the room.
Stop, please, somebody stop him. It's the wolf. He's going to eat me. No!
Munch, munch, gobble, gobble, gulp, gone.
Poor little Red Riding Hood was swallowed in one. For between you and I, this wolf was so greedy, he didn't even chew his food. Now, normally you think that this would be the end of the story. After all, little Red Riding Hood hadn't listened to her mother when she said not to speak to any strangers. She hadn't listened to the owl and the fox, nor had she listened to the snake when they tried to warn her. If only she's not been so silly and refused to let Badger walk with her to Grandma's house. She might not have been fooled by the wolf and now be sitting in the darkness of his big, fat belly.
Hey, who are you calling fat?
Shh! It's the story, and you've got both Grandma and little Red Riding Hood swallowed whole inside you.
Why is that? Surely not. Chewing your food will give you a bellyache.
Because if you did, then the last part of this story wouldn't work after all. Now, get off stage and let me start the final scene. Now, you may remember that Badger wasn't convinced and he'd gone off to find his friends. Not only did he find Owl, Fox and Snake, but they also found a woodcutter, just minding his own business.
Come on, woodcutter. We must be quick before it's too late.
I don't understand. What could it be?
We must save little Red Riding Hood from the wolf.
The wolf, you said. Then what are you waiting for? Or show me the way.
They rushed to Grandma's house. There they burst through the door and found the wolf lying on the bed.
Shouldn't there be a wolf on that bed?
They rushed to Grandma's house. There they burst through the door and found Grandma lying on the bed.
Oh, sorry. Did you call?
The woodcutter took one look at the wolf and cried,
Give us back Grandma and Little Red or else.
Not on your Nelly!
The woodcutter chased the wolf off stage and we heard one almighty plonk.
Plonk.
The woodcutter freed Grandma and Little Red Riding Hood. Although they were a little green and smelly from being inside his belly, they were very happy to still be alive.
I am very sorry that I didn't listen to you all when you were trying to keep me safe. I shall not ever talk to strangers again.
And so Little Red Riding Hood had learned her lesson. Not only do grown-ups occasionally talk sense, but really children should never talk to strangers. The story ends here on a positive note with all their friends having a feast. And they all lived happily ever after. The end.